YouTube, what's going on? We're gonna look at cars. We got Auto World and Johnny Lightning, so we're gonna do round two cars. We're gonna look at some old castings and some updated ones. So let's take a look. Let's start out with the Chevy. We're gonna look at the 19 Silverado in blue. So we've seen the black one already. This is a card. Let's see if we can focus. There we go. What do they call this? Northsky blue. So this is a very light blue actually. It doesn't look like the paint coat on the card. So let's take a look. We'll get a little setup here closer to the garage. There we go. This blue lays like they're silver, so it attacks the body lines and it lays very flat. So that was nice. So I got to actually look at this casting in better detail. The black one, the paint is really thick on it. They're doing great work. This thing is heavy. I don't know if I mentioned that last time when we looked at the black one, but it's a heavy casting. It's a lot of metal in it. They tint the windows. We have the Chevy relief in the tailgate, just like the black. You can kind of see it better there. Let's see if we can get the light a little bit better. There we go. So, let's see. Let's take a zoom. Look at that. I love the exhaust tips. They color match the bumper. So high country trucks are pretty optioned out. A lot of body colored matched parts that would have been chrome or black on the other trucks. The lower trim levels. Trail Boss is basically being distributed now, so they're going to have the Trail Boss version, which is heavy off-road tires, suspension upgrades, and like a blackout treatment. So it's like black wheels, grills black. Trim is kind of like blacked out too. Trail Boss can have the 6.2 liter, I think, so it can put a big motor in it if you want, but they offer the other ones too. Or a couple other ones. I can't think there's like one optional engine on that package. This has the 6.2 in it. You can see your LS block in there. They did that really good. You can see the intake runners on the top of the engine. Most likely, I don't remember. A lot of these trucks have been putting the engine cover on, so. But Chevy's block is pretty. Even the intake manifold. So. They do a good job with their engine. Well, it's their 8-cylinder anyway. Short bed on these. Love the wheels. We've looked at that before. New tires. Paint the base black. It's kind of like a semi-gloss black. I think that looks good. This is a 4-wheel drive truck, of course. Look at that. It's awesome. Even the running boards are done good. They're not sticking out too far. So there we go. And if you want to remember, this is the other one. And the black looks good too, I must say. Should have done like a white high country truck. I think that would have looked good too. White with the chrome and then paint the interior brown. I gotta do research on that. I'm pretty sure high country trucks are basically the brown interior. So since I have a couple of carded, I probably can take these apart and paint the interior more correct. That would be an easy upgrade on this. I mean, you really don't have to play with anything else. Wheels and tires are great. Grill is really nice. Look at that. So, well, we're happy to see this one in the collection. I think it'll look good in the Chevrolet area with my other trucks. Might throw a hitch on one of these and have it tow some cars around. So, all right, there is a 19 Silverado crew cab. What is this? High country truck. All right, next let's look at something else. So, just getting up to date on our Wrangler. Seem to be releasing Wranglers in each series so far in 2020. I don't think we've had a series yet that has not had a Wrangler. I know the next one's going to have a Wrangler, I'm pretty much sure. There's your vehicles. That's what you get. What kind of facts do we have on the red one? We'll see if they run out of facts soon. You'll see, sometimes they'll bring up information about themselves instead of the car. Alright. Red Wrangler. Not a lot to talk about in this casting. We've seen it. We've looked at it. One thing I forgot to mention, you know, I could think the last ones... Were they? Let me see this. It's a Sahara. So I think Sahara's going to have the black trim, but a lot of them, the more recent ones, a lot of them have been body keyed. So the top and the fenders and stuff are a painted body color. So this is more like a Rubicon type car, especially the rims. Here's your what is this? Yeah, 3.6 liter V6 engine. About 300 horses, something like that, a little bit less. Again, this odd thing about how they do this. I don't, it's like a wedge shape. It's more pronounced like that. You can kind of see. So, it's weird. I don't understand that. I'm pretty sure it's not like that on the real one. I've been around a lot of these. It seems to be parallel with the roof. But it's funny they make a wedge shape on it. It's still a great casting. That and the way that where the hood is, it doesn't look quite correct, but I mean, it's really good. It's still really nice. Love the wheels and tires. I mean, if I found a few more of these, they seem to be kind of like peg warmers. I can probably swap these wheels with a lot of different trucks. Maybe I'll pick up a few others. Alright, so we've seen that. We've looked at the other ones. Kind of just an up-to-date on the color variation at this point. We're going to look at another color variation. So we saw this, and we're going to get this one out real quick. We've seen this one a few episodes ago. Well, we got the silver. And again, the silver... These metallics, they lay really thin. So we can really see, and I think this is good getting it in this color. It reveals this casting like you took it down to bare metal. You can see every imperfection in the casting, if there is any. You can see how crisp everything is, though. Even the hood peak, or the roof peak. You can see how soft it looks in there and how sharp it is. And it just goes to the fact that adding just whatever microscopic layer on such a small scale, it makes a difference to the way the light hits the car. Really, the name of the game is when you're on this size, try to get that paint to lay as flat as possible without too much buildup. And the casting will look more to scale. I'll put it that way. It'll look less like a toy. That's why a lot of the good customizers airbrush their cars when they're working this small, because they try to get away with as little paint as possible. Another one of the few, which I'm looking at the collection here. Yeah, I mean, I would have to think it would be more wood grain ones than solid color, but it's actually pretty much split at this point. I mean, I got all of them so far. So, they've done a couple of unwooded ones. There's your casting. Nice base. It's almost polished. I wonder if they send these through tumblers when they assemble them. This is how it came out of the package. It's funny, they have the same license plate. I'm pretty sure. I thought that was funny. Let's take a look here. Right? Yeah. No. One says, oh, they're very close. It's a good thing I got the zoom. MG and TK. It's probably people that work there, I bet, at Auto World. I don't know if we looked at the card real quick. So this is the silver one. That says TK on it. on the plate. There's our stuff in the back. Huh. Yeah, both, I think, I'm pretty sure New Mexico. That's interesting. But you could see, let's, we're zoomed in. Might as well look. You see the body lines there? See? I love it. Hood opens, but it's stiff. And we've all seen that. I think this is a 75, so they still were running big. You can get a big engine back then. I mean, over 400 cubic inches in this thing. It's great. It's crazy. All right, we've seen this before. Just wanted to get up to date on the color. Again, the other thing I kind of like about this that kind of brings out the period of the 70s, that red interior. I must mention that. Love it. So I'll probably try to do a custom in one of these Buick soon. I saw a few of them all hanging up. No one bought them. I probably want to do more of a treatment like I did to this Kingswood. I put that on Instagram recently. Just to tell everyone, it's got M2 wheels and tires, but I painted them black. But the stance is good. You know, M2 does really great tires, the square-shoulderedness of it. And then the fact that you can see how thin that rim is right there. And it's dished really well. So some of the M2 stuff, you know, when I lift the trucks too, I get the wheels from M2 cars. You know, it works well with this. I had to put a spacer in the front axle there. I drilled and tapped so I can swap wheels on this, because this will be like a test bed car for different setups. But I think this, taking the roof rack off like I did on this one, this will clean this up, and this doesn't have any wood grain, so I think it will look kind of neat. So we'll see. I got a project. There's probably like 10 cars all apart that I'm serious about, and then there's like a whole bin of other ones I'm going to get to, but the ones that are actively being worked, probably it's like double 10 vehicles. I have no time. So it takes a minute. All right, let's look at this. This vehicle is new to the casting, so we're going to look at, or new to the collection. So I never had a Camaro yet. I didn't really like the other ones. The 5th gen Camaro, I mean, it's a great car, runs real good, handles nicely. It's just, it's not my favorite diecast. So I did get this because I like Synergy Green, and it was a very hard color to get. Chevrolet produced very few of these. I mean, overall production of other ones. The green was kind of like a limited 1-2 year color, pretty sure. So there's a lot of people that are that like it. And of course, we like the green vehicles here at Mig's place, so I definitely had to add this. What I did, though, I did a little sneaky thing here. If you're looking at this casting, if you already have one of these, see if you can pick it out. I'll get to that in a minute. A couple of things that I've never seen on AutoWorld. So we'll look at the grill. Mostly 100% of the time that I've seen AutoWorlds, they don't do any separate casting in terms of the body. Well, here, in this, that's all plastic. I thought that was pretty neat. So they do inserts on this casting. Most of it, you know, and even on the Silverado, everything's painted. So this really adds to the detail in this car. Plus this lip here, which is actually on the real car, which I want to call that out too. You can look at the profile. You see this, and then the lower grill too is plastic. You look how thin it is. You know, you can't get that fidelity with this die cast alone. So we're looking at a car that's really tiny. I mean, look at the size of this pencil. So, I mean, that's awesome. Even the bow tie, the way it was tampoed with the gold. I mean, now that I get to see it under magnification, really good. But anyway, down to the lower valance there, the splitter. That's part of the body. I mean, look how nice that is. That's die cast metal right there. So, AutoWorld really on par with the best out there, I'd say. The sacrifice, the only really complaint about AutoWorld is, you know, they're so concentrated. They don't make a lot of vehicles compared to everybody else to collect. So, you know, they're worth the wait, but you'd want more of them. That's kind of the problem. Window is great. A lot of people fail on this because the distance between these areas and the thinness here and here. It's kind of sloppy when they scale this car down. This is one of the best representation of the 5th gen Camaro. There's another reason. A lot of times the detail is hidden in those packaging. A lot of these cars I've really liked, you know, after being skeptical, even taking it home, letting it sit around before I open it. And I finally opened the casting and I really get to take a look at it. So, I mean, you know, if it's a car I really like, I'm gonna take it out. SS badge. These are painted. Taillights are painted in, but the whole front is all separate. So they'd have this valance here, and then the cutouts for the exhaust tips would go over there. You know, Camaro's developed with Cadillac, so really this platform goes also on the CTS, ATS car, that kind of architecture. So similar setup on chassis. The other thing too, this car is really interesting. Really, I mean, if you could think all the screws, and that was done from the factory. And I saw some others hanging, and I looked at the underside of those cards, you know, at the store, and they all had screws in them too. This is really the only car that I've seen from Auto World that had screws. And I wonder if the machines break down, they have to kind of switch to screws for a minute, because some green lights I have come with screws, not spun rivets. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, let's see if I can get this hood open real quick, because we really haven't looked at that. This is gonna be well, let me see. Yeah, I got it. Okay. I thought I remember getting it open. So this is going to be a depiction of General Motors. This is a 6.2 V8 pushrod car. There's your engine cover. Here's your intake. They even they did the it's like a GM performance parts intake. You know, you can think of it like that. You can see the elbow and the air filter element there in the air box. It's a lot of detail. Again, one of the really good ones. The only thing I had to do to touch this car up, the wheels, the chrome, was missing on some of the spokes. So I just went in and filled it all in black. Alright, so mods time on this. You know, really, Hot Wheels, the Real Rider tires, the slicks that they use, that's I put them on there so they fit perfectly. And now it looks like a drag radial. So you can see, I mean, they work really well. And they let the car roll very good too. I do like the way it looks. What actually initially prompted me from changing the tire in the first place was they do staggered tire sizes on this car. They're supposed to be obviously skinnier in the front and wider in the rear. Well, I had 1, 2, 3 skinny ones and 1 fat one, so that was really bothering me. So I was looking for a solution in the parts box, and I had one of those light bulb moments, and now I'm probably going to do this with a few cars. Because there's wheels I take and tires I take off, so there's always spares around. So I thought that looked really good. And actually, this looks like aftermarket wheels and tires, but Chevrolet in their parts catalog had a wheel like this. I think it was all one color, but they offered the spoke design as an accessory. So you could always have that installed on your Camaro when you're paying, I think it was $39,000 to $40-something thousand for that car brand new. So somewhere in there. 6-speed manual transmission, rear-wheel drive. I mean, you can't go wrong. Port injection. It wasn't direct injection then too. So another great thing with the 5th gen. All right. One last Auto World, and then we're going to get to Johnny Lightning. So let's put old Kingswood back in the garage. All right, so Camaro. Now we're going to look back in time. Let me get a sip here. All right. I'm going back in time. 1966. Look at this thing. I had a bone up on this car because, you know, this is a very important car. Everybody loves Malibu. This is a Chevelle, which also Malibu shared. It was really a naming scheme. It really wasn't a different car. Before 66, it went really as a Malibu SS. So Chevelle SS, 1966, they don't put the Malibu as part of the name on the vehicle. It's supposed to stand out as a performance car. Well, in 1966, you could only get the 396 big block in this car. Although the other V8s were optional, mostly in the Malibu range. Look at this thing. 396, they offered actually 3 versions of it. I had to do a little picking through. Let's look at the card art real quick. It's really pretty. It's color keyed too. So blue background, blue car. Some facts. This is supposed to be, try to zoom here. Yeah, Danube blue poly. Chevy color. There's your back. Anyway. New body. So similar chassis. New body. 64, 65 cars. They had their own sheet metal. And then this 66, 67 kind of shared a lot of things. But really, even though they have the midsection is pretty much identical, rear taillight valance, rear housings right here, and then the front clip, that was new sheet metal. But the 66 is an attractive car, and actually they went away from this trim piece where it's slanted inward at the base to a straight across one with no signals here. And then when the 68 and 69 were out, they went back to this. It was very funny, even though the car was all different. So this is General Motors A platform. So A body cars shared with Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile had cars like this, which were intermediate cars, even though dimensionally, today's standards, this 2-door car is longer than a 4-door Crown Victoria police car. So those are the last of the full size. So there's an intermediate. They had bigger cars, obviously Impala, that type of stuff. So back in these years, this car came with 2-door body style, 4-door station wagon. So I had all these different bodies, and this front clip and housing with the station wagon chassis. Basically, they also made an El Camino. So very diverse portfolio on the Chevelle body. Of course, you got your big block in there, chrome valve covers and chrome air cleaner. That was part of the 396. They had a 325 horsepower version, and then they also had a 360 horse from the factory. Then I guess in mid-year, they went to a really hypo 396. This car really shared some parts. So the 427 Chevrolet heads, cast aluminum pistons. The other two 396 cars had 10 1/4 to 1 compression. They went up to 11 to 1 compression, 4-barrel carb. Camshaft was done, and better flowing exhaust. So that pushed that car's horse. It was like over 400 or something, or 390 or something like that. It was crazy. So they did finally they finally moved it. It's L78. Yeah, that's what it was. So it was like an L34 block, and then it went to an L78. So pretty cool. You can get a power glide in this car. You can get a 4-speed manual. You can get positive traction. The car had a perimeter frame on it. So solid axle rear, 4-link, coil spring, then you got coil spring, kind of like A-arms type setup on there, but a perimeter frame, meaning it went around the outside. Well, some cars just go straight across here. The old cars, some of them would have the X frame, like this, that the convertible used. So they would do a coupe. I don't think it was on 66, but they put the big engine and the heavy convertible frame on a coupe and then let her rip. This is supposed to be like a dog dish wheel. It came with full-size wheel covers, and they had mags too you could buy. It had the fake hood extractors on the hood there. This is my first Malibu casting. This has been around in Autoworld's portfolio forever. But that was kind of cool. Let's get a look at this script right here. Look at that. Awesome. So, 67 car, the taillights wrapped around this edge. It's all cast, no separate pieces like we just saw in the Camaro. You can see the flake on the blue. Look how nice that is. I do like dark blue cars. They look very good, I must say. There's your cross flags there. Let's take a look right there. Yeah. Pretty neat. Even the lower trim, the rocker trim is done with this, with the stripes in there. Awesome. Really, really good. Very, very nice. Well, they didn't make a lot of the big, heavy duty ones. I think it was like 3,100 cars with the 427 heads and all that, the L78. But make something to look for. So let's hope this one is the L78 car. All right, now we're gonna get to Johnny Lightning, and these are been creeping into the collection. Why? Because they've been kind of resurrecting some castings that I was really unaware of, because I really didn't like Johnny Lightning because I don't know, out of the 6 at a set or whatever would come out, one of the castings was spot on. The rest of them looked like, old Matchbox cars. They're all kind of funny, the way they mold the car. So, but these are very highly accurate, and I'm very proud, because I really don't have a lot of these type of cars. I love American Motors cars. I think they're awesome. They showed you how much you could do making cars with very little. They had always had money problems. I mean, it was always an issue. I mean, they had to do like almost one car at a time. They couldn't have multiple cars going. I mean, really, at one time they were just so cash strapped all the time. But they make quality products. I mean, these cars would win awards with quality. So we're gonna look at this one first, and then we'll look at the AMX. So it's a Gremlin X. This is a 1971. Let's look at the card art real quick. Let's see where it went. There we go. Oh well. Oh, here it is. So, I'll pull that up in a second. Let's just get a little shot on this thing. The other thing that kind of caught my eye, so these are on the pegs. This is at the grocery store. One of 2,500. So, I've been noticing Johnny Lightning, if you collect these, I think that's what some of the allure is to it. Maybe it's not a perfect replica, but they seem to have lower production numbers. Probably a little bit less distribution. I don't know. This has the rallies, but it looks like a Chrysler rally, but it's close. I mean, they would use wheels sort of like that. The 71, I guess this car came out. The Gremlin's funny. 1970, and it ran to 78 on this platform. They changed the grille and trim on it, but basically the same thing. It had this famous camback tail. What's funny about this car, too, is it's a large small car, meaning that this was really on a mid-size sedan, the AMC Hornet, which was, they were calling their compact, but really it was kind of large. It wasn't really, really tiny. It wasn't like a Honda Civic or anything. So this car is basically an altered wheelbase car. They cut off the back of the car, but really from here forward, all Hornet. So they made use of the platform, I'll tell you what. But that's what kind of gave it its uniqueness, is because it was small, but it was still roomy, and it offered some good performance. The least gas mileage of all the compacts, but it offered a lot. So most of the cars had inline 6 cylinders, and then they eventually offered the 8-cylinder from AMC, which was a 304. It was basically like a 5-liter 8-cylinder, automatic or stick shift. Look at the hood on this. Casting's nice, and it's an older casting. It's probably a few years older by now. They're gonna do 2 colors. I only got version. This is version B. I don't remember what the other color is on this. I guess this one's been released for a minute. Let's take a look at the Gremlin X. So in the 71, the Gremlin X package, which was like this trim package, offered the 6, but in 72 and up, I guess it had the 8-cylinder. You can see the Gremlin on the trim piece right there. Let's take a look. There he is. It's kind of faint. This is their McCann series, so it's like a Muscle Car Nationals show. A lot of people, this is part of the thing to try to reinvent AMC's image, because really prior to the mid-60s, their cars were, just for economy or just for penny pinchers, basically. So they offered a whole line of things, and were really ushered in, them getting in tune for making something like this, because the average buyer on this car, I guess, was 35 years old, which was quite the feat. It's pretty good. So they made this car, but this really paved the way. This is a 1968 AMC AMX. This is actually a 2-seat pony car. No back seat in this thing. And it went from 68 to 70, so it was shortly lived. But it set a lot of firsts. This car was offered up to a 390 cubic inch 8-cylinder. So big motor, 390. Big horse. This car has like 400 foot-pounds of torque, so it's very torquey. These did really well in racing. It's kind of like a semi-hatchback, even though there's this traditional trunk here. But it has that roof line. Let's take a look here. So this really caught my eye. This is very proportional. I mean, this is really good to 1/64th, I'd say. Very close. This hood will stay up. Look at the Tampa work on the grill too. I love it. I think that looks good. So, I'm glad I have some more AMCs in the collection, really. There's their hood. That's factory. You can see how that goes. Twin stripe. And I'll take a look at the back real fast. But this is a cool car. Hopefully I find the other one. That's what I'd like to see. Alright, let's look at the cards real quick. So this is on the Javelin. So we kind of looked at this. Or not the Javelin. Javelin took over pretty much for this AMX. After 71. And then this was kind of cool. This was a recent release. This is 3004. One of 3004. This is out of this collection here. A lot of cars in that collection, supposedly. There's your information. This is a good series. Most of the cars in it, though, they were some of the Johnny Lightning stuff that was just not accurate enough. I'd put it that way for me to take it back, because they do some good subject matter. Riviera, you know, I got a Buick Riviera. They got an Eldorado. They're just too. They're too inaccurate for me to deal with. So, well, I guess we're getting caught up. I mean, we got Greenlight now, so there's been a lot of releases of Greenlight, and that's the next batch we'll have to look at. But I think we'll throw in a 1/18 scale. We got something recently, so let's take a look at that too. Well, more to come. More to come. Thank you all for watching and subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe. More to come. More to come. Till next time.